This afternoon I would like to spend some time in my short series on the Matthew 5 Beatitudes of Christ to talk about the things that he says about righteousness. Well, these are the words of Christ. He says, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled." So we hear him say that if you are somebody that has a hunger for righteousness, that you are a blessed person. Now, I remember when I was a young man, I was 18, 19 years old, this hunger for righteousness took the form of student activities for a justified system in the university. So our concept, me and my friends in those days, were very political, very outward looking. We looked at a rightful way of paying our university fees. So we had all a sort of a list of things that we wanted to reach, that we wanted to change, to make the local situation more justified, more righteous. And when I became a Christian, righteousness became something from the inside also, not only something from the outside, but also a value inside of my heart. That was not my first point when I was a young man. I had the idea that I was righteous and that all my thoughts about changing the situation to make it better were, as a logical result, also righteous. But the longer I went on doing that, the more I realized that I was not righteous at all. I saw a lot of things in my heart that were empty, that were negative. There was a lot of chaos, a lot of living without rules. Actually, I found that my whole idea of being righteous myself was fake. It was just an illusion. And I came to the point that I really needed someone to change that situation, which I could not do it by myself. So I went to different groups and were listening to their ideas about that. Also, I was reading a lot of books to find if philosophers could help me with that. And the more I did, the bigger the load on my conscience became. And until I actually came to the point of losing hope ever to find a way out. I felt to be in a box, no way to get out and to find this absolute fundament of righteousness that I actually was looking for. So, was I hungry for righteousness? Yes. Did I find it? No. So, how could I find it? But then one day I met with Christ and I saw his sacrifice at Calvary, and not realizing actually what happened, he changed my heart. So he created inside of me this awareness of that it was all done, it had all been finished, and this gave this satisfaction to this hunger that I had. So was that righteousness? Well, when I looked inside of me, I didn't see my own faults anymore so much, but I saw the righteousness of Christ inside of me. He came living inside of me. So then I started studying his life, and I saw that his way of living was sacrificing himself, walking with God and his Father, and realizing that the universe, the existence, what was there, had a fundament actually not in the righteousness of man, but in the righteousness of God. So that was an enormous change of my paradigma of life, of my view of life. Because now I looked to God as being righteous, as a father figure that loved me and brought his son to the cross for me as a sacrifice. Finding that, I was studying and learning more and more about the righteousness of God. And I realized that the righteousness of God immersed all the different parts of human being. First of all, the spirit life, because I once was reading the books of Watchman Nee, a Chinese Bible teacher, and he was teaching me about the threefold human person, like what is the spirit, what is the soul, and what is the body. And he was teaching me that the spirit actually has three components, three functions, so to say, and one of it is to have a conscience for good and bad. So then I realized that my conscience is not in my soul, not in my thinking, but it is in a level higher than that. It's in the spiritual realm. And also I realized that my sense of freedom was not just something in my soul, a feeling, but freedom was a spiritual substance. And that's true, because I realized that even if you are captivated and are in a cell, your thinking can be blocked, but still there can be something inside of your heart that you feel you are free. You are a free spirit. Nobody can control your dreams. Nobody can control your endless, infinite spirit where it wants to go. That's actually what I found. So I found that in my spirit life, in my personal devotion, the righteousness of God came in. And it came in through the Bible, through the Word of God. And I was gradually changing my spiritual life by learning more from God. My soul life also changed. A lot of my memories, my thoughts, my emotions gradually came under the influence of my spiritual life with God. And that meant that I started having feelings of love, of thankfulness, of grace, of happiness that I never had before. And a satisfaction in my feeling arose firmly rooted in this spiritual life of freedom with God. And that was a tremendous experience. You know, I've been looking my whole life through my books and through my traveling to have this feeling of goodness that I never could find in the world until I met Christ. And finally, we see that the righteousness of God is also coming into our material, physical life. Because one of the characteristics of Christians is that they share together. When we read about the first Christians in the book of Acts, they had all things in common. So a type of communal life like we see in Israel in the kibbutz, is actually biblical. It's a way that God provides righteousness in our life. So righteousness is a lot about family life. Family life is a building stone of material, justful division of resources. And I'm so happy with my family that I see my children, how they flourish. I have 5 children, and I believe that because I became a Christian, the rightfulness of God started working inside of me step by step, more and more, and